Roberts, ABC News political analyst, joins us every Monday. Good morning, Stephen Roberts.
Hey, McGraw.
It seems like we are in a full-fledged war between President Trump and the FBI, and it seems like the FBI is fighting back.
I think you're correct about that, and it's not just the FBI. It's the Justice Department. It's really the whole American judicial system. And at the heart of this conflict is the fact that this president either doesn't understand or doesn't choose to understand how the American system works. Just because he appoints the Attorney General and appoints the head of the FBI and appoints U.S. prosecutors, he thinks they should be loyal members of Team Trump. But that is not how the American system was set up. Yes, they're part of the American, part of the cabinet, part of the administration, but they're also loyal to the country. They're loyal to an independent principle of fair and impartial adjudication and investigation. And that's what's driving the president crazy. We know this. James Comey said very clearly that the president, before he fired him as FBI director, really asked him, are you going to be loyal to me? We know the president feels this way, and we know that Comey and others, when they've resisted the president, have been fired. And that's at the heart of this problem.
The memo was written in some type of weird code because clearly it was written just enough so that whichever way you wanted to argue it, you could argue it. But at the end of the memo, it basically lays out claim that this George Papadopoulos was one of the people they used because he was clearly talking when he shouldn't have been talking. So the memo seems to contradict itself when it was talking about going after Carter Page.
Well, I agree with that, and so do some Republicans. I mean, even though the president insisted the memo vindicated him, even though his cheerleaders in conservative media like Sean Hannity say it's worse than Watergate, the fact is you had 4 Republicans on TV over the weekend saying the president's wrong. This does not vindicate him. In fact, the memo had nothing to do with the Russian probe. The memo was entirely focused on how the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Courts, work. These are courts in secret which can authorize surveillance of Americans suspected of security breaches. It's a very complex, very careful process. And as these Republicans said, this has nothing to do with the Mueller investigation. So, but the larger strategy here on the part of the president and his allies is to muddy the waters, to throw everything they can at Special Counsel Mueller in the hope that when he does come out with more indictments, more findings, more charges, that at least the core Republican base will not believe him. That's the end game here.
Do you think they can split the baby, right? The leadership of the Justice Department and the FBI is crooked, but all the other rank and file people are great.
No, I don't think they can, and I think that one of the ironies, of course, here is that the president's attacking his own appointees. He's attacking the FBI, which is run by Christopher Wray, who he appointed. He's attacking a lot of the Justice Department, which is run by Jeff Sessions, who he appointed. The man who oversees the Robert Mueller probe and who named Robert Mueller, Rod Rosenstein, is a man that Donald Trump appointed. So one of the most curious dimensions of this is the president is really attacking people that he appointed. But as I say, the reason why there is such a ferocity on the part of the president, such frustration, is when he appoints people, he thinks they should be loyal servants of his political interests. But that is not how the American system is set up. That's why you have such a tension between the president and the FBI, the president and his own Justice Department, because he absolutely will not grasp how the American system is set up.
It seems like, Stephen Roberts, that there is a line in the sand that Republicans, mainstream Republicans who support Donald Trump, have sort of alluded to, and I'm talking about Roy Blunt and others here in Missouri. Roy Blunt said on this show and in other places, if he knows where I stand if he goes after Mueller. So it seems like they've signaled to the White House, hey, all of this shenanigans on the side is one thing. But if you go after Mueller, that's a line you shouldn't cross.
Well, I think that Roy Blunt and a lot of Republicans, if that were to happen, and it's a realistic possibility because we know from good reporting that the president has seriously considered firing Mueller, seriously considered firing Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General who oversees the Mueller investigation. We know how unhappy he was with Jeff Sessions over the appointment of Mueller. So I do think it's important for people like Roy Blunt. Look, they have every right to be supporters of the president. They're Republicans, and they have a lot in common. But I think that there's going to be, if it comes to that, I think there's going to be an enormous test for people like Roy Blunt. Do you just simply stay loyal to the president, or do you invoke these other principles, exactly what I've been talking about, the principle of an independent judicial process, which is at the heart of the American system. You know, I've lived and worked in other countries where there's this profound corruption where everything is subject to a partisan judgment, including the legal and judicial system. This great strength of America has always been a belief that partisanship has its limits, and that there is an independent judiciary, independent investigators, independent security apparatus, independent intelligence agencies, which work for the country, not just for a president.
Stephen, we're going to have to leave it there. Stephen Roberts, ABC News political analyst. Have a good week. Thanks.